Ladies and gentlemen, it's the rise of the nationalist right and a death knell for the woke lobby. In just a little over an hour, Donald Trump will again return to the Oval Office as the President of America with an agenda of America First. He has lined up 200 executive orders on day one itself. It's clear, unambiguous, and unapologetic. This is not just an isolated power shift, but there is a global pattern which is visible. From India to Italy, Israel, and now America. All these nations are ruled by decisive leaders like Modi, Giorgia Meloni, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Donald Trump. In India, Prime Minister Modi won a historic third mandate for a third term and has powered the awakening of India's cultural renaissance. Visuals of that remind us every day during this Mahakumbh. Meanwhile, Giorgia Meloni holds sway in Italy, known to be close to Elon Musk. She is the only EU leader, European leader, invited to Trump's oath-taking ceremony. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has cracked a hostage deal after a 15-month-long crackdown on terror group Hamas. While geographically apart, the ideologies of these leaders are stitched together with the common thread of putting the interests of their own people, their own nation first. On the other hand, America has seen a meltdown of the woke liberals. Gone is the era of Biden and Harris, who award billionaire George Soros with the Medal of Freedom. Excuse me. Remember, in 2020, Soros pledged $1 billion to fight nationalists like Prime Minister Modi ahead of Trump's swearing in. Hindenburg Research too has shut shop after its strike on the Indian economy. In India, well, Rahul Gandhi, the crown prince of wokeism, has declared war on the Indian state itself. Ironically, as the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha is also part of the Indian state, not only was his party rejected for 3 straight terms, but now he faces an FIR for threatening national security as he declared war against the Indian state. In Canada, Justin Trudeau, the blue-eyed poster boy of the left liberalism prototype, was forced to step down by his own party. The snake of Khalistani terror appeasement came back to bite him. All of them said democracy was in danger in each of these countries. Ironically, the world's oldest and biggest democracies have voted them out of power. As America is engulfed in a sea of red today, Donald Trump, with his war cry of "Make America Great Again," wears his nationalism on his sleeve with pride. Watch his words, which sound the end of woke politics.
Nothing worth doing ever came easy.
Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation.
I'm thrilled to be back with so many friends, supporters, and true American patriots on the eve of taking back our country. That's what we're going to do, take back our country. At noon, the curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline. I will end the war in Ukraine. I will stop the chaos in the Middle East, and I will prevent World War III from happening. And you have no idea how close we are. And very soon we'll begin the largest deportation operation in American history. And as of today, TikTok is back. We have no choice. We have to save it. A lot of jobs. We don't want to give our business to China. We don't want to give our business to other people.
But what are the parallels between the United States and India in the rise of the right and the end of wokeism? Sample this. In India, Modi always stood for India First policy, while Trump rode to power on his war cry, "Make America Great Again." In India, Modi led the renaissance of India's cultural and religious heritage, while Trump has vowed to make America proud again. While the BJP warns batenge to katenge, Trump called to save Hindus in Bangladesh. On the other side, Rahul Gandhi and the India alliance partners fear-mongered that Samvidhan khatre mein hai. While Kamala Harris feared that democracy was under threat, while the opposition mocked states that backed BJP as Gaumutra states, Joe Biden's Trump supporters are garbage attack backfired. Many commonalities between the Modi campaign, the BJP campaign and Trump versus Biden back in the United States. So ladies and gentlemen, the Motorola legitimate question that we're asking on the Newshour tonight. Wokeism flops, nation first. Is it the winning mantra now? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP, Sushant Sareen, senior fellow at the ORF. Also joining me tonight, Smita Prakash, editor ANI. With me tonight, Vivek Srivastava, political analyst. But my first question goes to Tehseen Poonawala. And Tehseen Poonawala, Bistra Gol. Out goes liberal, the so-called liberal thinking funded by Soros. And what's back in the world? Right, the far right is making waves, getting support from people, whether you look at India, whether you look at the United States, Israel, Italy, all of these countries. Tonight, would you really be worried? Hindenburg has shut shop. What if Soros is next? How's the Congress party going to survive?
Thank you, Navika ji, for having me on the show. And I don't think the grand old party of Indian politics should be worried about a 90-year-old man, whether he will be back or no. Because if there was truly a nationalist prime minister in the country, 11 years now that the gentleman has been prime minister, Honorable Narendra Modi ji, he would have got this 90-year-old man and dragged him into India, at least raised the issue with his American counterparts or whichever part of the world Mr. Soros is in. But he's failed to do so. We now, if you look at Netanyahu, because he's supposed to be the favorite of the right wing, Mr. Netanyahu himself, once this war ends, faces prosecution in his own country. And I think more than well, I do agree to an extent that wokeism is out. Liberal values can never be compromised. Ultimately, it is liberals and liberal values that takes the world forward. Liberalism is good. What Mr. Modi, what Donald Trump, and what the other leaders you are speaking about, indulge in populism. Populism may get you short-term benefits. Yes, the world is moving towards populism. In that way, you may see it. But in the long term, it'll be bad for the nations. Just as populism, which is now in Indian politics, will be bad for our Indian economy. What we are seeing in India is not right-wing politics, is actually, for example, with tax, we're seeing the industrialists facing tax terrorism, GST extortion. That is populism. And I'll tell you something about populism. It will take the economy down. Prime Minister Modi will come under severe pressure post 1st February with regards to the economic policies.
Well, you've been praying for that for 11 years and you're still waiting. But let me get in. Let me get in Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, no denying that Trump would be catastrophic for Gaza and the world. Famous words said by Rana Ayub. Is that liberal thought? Let me ask you, when Mr. Kharge, the Congress president, says Hitler, describes Prime Minister Modi as Hitler, and so does Rahul Gandhi. Hitler once wrote, "Keep a firm grasp on reality so you can strangle it any time." This is what is happening today, strangulation of reality. I want to ask you, is this liberalism that was preached by Rahul Gandhi and many other people in the Congress party? And those are live visuals coming on the screen. US President Trump leaving, I think, White House and going across for the swearing in, which will begin in just a bit from now. But he's moving towards the Capitol. Well, it will bring back many memories for him and people watching him on television tonight. But Sushant Sareen, Sushant, is this liberalism, or is this really, liberalism built with the hatred for these world leaders that actually drove opposition's entire campaign back home in, excuse me, back home in India and also in America?
Those who call themselves liberals, they are the most illiberal, fascist people you can ever come across. And there is enough evidence to suggest that. These are the people, for example, America, which is supposed to be the, shining star of a free press. Now it turns out that every single media house in America was being pressured to what they could publish, what they could not publish. Every social media platform was being pressured on what they could publish, what they could not publish. So there was a story on Hunter Biden and his famous or infamous laptop. It was censored out of the so-called mainstream American media, which is why social media took over in the US. And then they started clamping down on social media until that was no longer possible. And then Elon Musk came. Now they blame Elon Musk for interfering in elections. And the so-called liberals and the woke are the biggest crybabies. When the Economist or some of these other Western rags decide that they will pontificate on Indian politics and they will advise, quote unquote, the Indians on whom they should vote for, that is not interference. Elon Musk talking about, his favorite candidate in some country, that is interference. And Navika, incidentally, you did not mention one of the biggest shining stars of the new common sense, you can call it right wing. I don't indulge in this right and versus left. But the most sensible guy right now is, and a man with a proven track record over the last 1 year, is the Argentinian president, who has demolished so many things in Argentina to revive the economy, and that's showing results. So clearly, the problem with these so-called woke and liberal is they are stupid, they are dangerous, and they undermine the security of their states and the stability of their societies, which is what Angela Merkel did in Germany, which is what the French have done, which is why in France you see that the so-called right-wing parties are now knocking at the door of power. You see the same thing happening in Germany. We've seen that in Netherlands. Across Europe, this is happening. We've seen this in North America. Trudeau has gone. Trudeau, imagine, within 9 years, he has ruined one of the most successful economies in the Western world. This is their track record. And Navika, when we talk about tolerance, when we talk about liberal values, you just need to go to a Western university to see how much of thought control and the kind of Nazism or, the so-called Soviet Union communist type ideology is being preached in Western universities, especially these so-called Ivy League universities. They have become cesspools of this woke ideology where even a normal debate, a normal ordinary debate between students can get you cancelled. You are not allowed to write something in a paper arguing a point which your professor does not agree with, because you will be either doxed or you will be marked and literally failed in that exam. This is the kind of illiberalism which had taken over, and this is why this reaction has come. This reaction was building up in the United States, it's been building up in Western Europe, and in India. I think it was bad political management, which is why the BJP did not get a majority on its own. Had they managed their politics very well at the local level, I think they would have got over 300 very easily, but they botched it up. That does not mean that the kind of mindless liberalism that is being preached out here, and I have nothing against truly liberal policies. I have nothing against it. But the kind of nonsense which is being preached, communal violence bill, how is that liberal? Please tell me. The communal violence bill.
Absolutely. And clearly, obviously, this was being controlled. The narrative was being controlled by some powers which suddenly are seeing red flags coming up. But let me get in Smita Prakash. Smita Prakash, I really want to pick up on this. If it was supposed to be a prophecy coming from Rana Ayub, no denying that Trump would be catastrophic for Gaza and the world, this is what she wrote. Look at it today. We have a ceasefire even before Trump has taken oath. What does that tell you? Is their worldview really the worldview of a real world? Or is this just fear-mongering? Fear-mongering about the United States, fear-mongering about Modi in India. Well, across the world, there is this right sweep that's going on. Are these so-called woke liberals, as they are popularly called, well, are they on their way out? Are they having their meltdown moment tonight?
Well, fear sells, so I don't know whether it will ever go as far as our polity is concerned. And the other thing is, I'm watching the visuals that you're running of the presidential car, the Beast as it's called, the Cadillac One. It's a $1.5 million car. It's a gorgeous piece of machinery going down, heading towards the capital. And the president who's going to be taking oath of office soon, his second term, it's going to mark a significant move in the political and cultural landscape of America, I should say, because as you pointed out that, lots of people are visibly scared, whether it is in the US, whether it is the rest of the world, as to what's going to happen in the second term of President Trump. Certainly, there will be a shift, and the four liberals, as Sushant would call them, they are worried because there is going to be a definite shift, and Donald Trump, as candidate Trump, had emphasized his commitment to dismantle these woke ideologies which have become entrenched in America. And he said that, and particularly he said about educational institutions and government agency. And we've seen, that it's not easy. I mean, in India, you've had a government which has been trying for the past 10 years to do that, and it's only in the second term of Prime Minister Modi that you see some kind of dismantling is a strong word to say, but at least some kind of change that is happening. But the pushback has been so great in a country like India, because entrenched lobbies, they take a long time to settle in, and it's hard. Cultural, educational, social movements, these are very deep rooted in democracies, and they persist despite political opposition. So you can see the strong pushback by the woke lobby in India, which happened in the past 5 years, and it's going to be the same in the US. So when Trump says, take back your country, that soundbite that you just played, when he says take back the country, a lot of it is hyperbole, because, you've seen that his earlier drain the swamp and dismantle deep state. That's not how it works. It can confound anybody, and even the best known plans can be dismantled when it comes to bureaucracy and entrenched bureaucracies. So it remains to be seen how much he's able to do. Certainly he's more committed, because he can only be president for 2 terms in the US as per their constitution. So this is going to be legacy building term, and he is not going to waste time. As he said, he's going to take sweeping decisions as soon as possible.
200 executive orders coming up on day one, and that's
in the pictures that you're showing.
Absolutely, and there is, of course, it is the richest, if the oldest democracy that's functioning out there. And Vivek Srivastav, to you I want to ask, the right is in fashion, the left is out of fashion, the left woke liberals, for liberals, बोरी बिस्तर बंद होने का समय आ रहा. Are you a little worried because those are the winds of change that you're seeing from country to country across the world? In India, a desperate attempt was made, yet Modi is back for a 3rd term. And look at America. Everybody tried their best to somehow keep Trump out, but people of America have voted him in, and we're seeing that functioning democracy. So democracies are never in danger. They function in India, they're functioning in the United States. What is not functioning is the fake narrative that liberals like yourself want to propound across the world.
In United States, all I'll say on behalf of the worker unions is, हमारे हिंदुस्तानी में है, ईंट का जवाब पत्थर से मिलेगा ट्रंप को. If you see the track record of the strikes and lockouts in the companies, including big strikes and organizations like the Subway, the McDonald's in 2024. I mean, that is going to be an eye-opener. The point is that we are not looking deep. You are just looking at the surface and you see one president has been elected. That means the right is out over there to win. No. As far as the minimum wages is concerned, the number of holidays is concerned, number of working hours is concerned, United States better gear up for a big, long struggle. The unions are all geared up. And the same over here. We are also protesting against the new labor codes by the Modi government. And as long as there is a discrepancy, which will reflect in your budget right now, as long as you keep on, doling out businessmen like Anil Ambani and promoting people like the Adanis, getting fascinated by 5,000 crore weddings and these lovely cars that Smita Prakash is talking about, that is not the real India. Real India doesn't have food. There is expensive school education. There are so many problems in healthcare. Additional tests written by private doctors. Nobody is there to question it out.
You presented the alternative. There were no takers, just like there were no takers for the Democrats in the United States. अब रोना धोना कब तक चलेगा विवेक श्रीवास्तव जी? But Pradeep Bhandari, are they really away from reality, or is this, talking about unionism in America and hoping that that's what's going to stall President Donald Trump in his tracks, that really takes the cake. Vivek Srivastav and his imagination, at least an award for that.
Well, Vivek Srivastav's political imagination and political point of view is extremely spectacular. That's why the left today competes with Nota. It does not compete to win an election. And I congratulate Vivek for that. And I hope that you continue to compete with Nota, Vivek. That is what your party has been doing globally and in particular in India in the last 10 years. But Navika ji, it's a very, very important point which you've raised. But I'll say the start of this happened in 2014 when Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi took oath in 2014 and the beacon of hope started and the beacon of distress was lost, because what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been able to do, no other world leader has been able to achieve. Whether it is the rise of the popular, and I would say it's the rise of a common man on the ground who represents and reflects with these leaders. In United States of America, the incumbent lost. In UK, the incumbent lost. Africa, the incumbent lost. South Africa, the incumbent lost. Japan, the incumbent lost. Senegal, the incumbent lost.
Interrupting you just for a bit, those visuals of Sundar Pichai and Elon Musk coming in right at this moment do tell you about, business leaders solidly behind President Trump and a new wave.
Well, Navika ji, this also tells you that you can definitely, be with the business leaders and at the same time ensure that the poor gets the economic benefit. The issue with the left is that they are the real elite. They will have a backdoor dealing with the business leaders in order to fill their own personal coffers, but do nothing for the people. We ensure 50 crore bank accounts are opened. We ensure that more than 10 crore toilets are built, more than 4 crore houses are built. At the same time, we ensure that India is in the top 5 economies. So economic liberalism has happened not under the left, but under the so-called right. So I would appeal to Mr. Vivek Srivastav that Vivek ji, अपनी जो किताबें आप पढ़ रहे हैं उसको आपको नए तरीके से पढ़ना होगा. जो पुरानी किताबें पढ़ा रहे हैं आप, वो अब नए युग में नहीं चलेंगी.
Well, Vivek, counter.
आपने धर्म को यूज किया है. You have used religion as an opium. That is what Marx said, that religion is the opium of the masses. And all you are doing is just diverting the people from not paying attention to the real situation. अभी तो सब कुंभ में घूम रहे हैं साहब. बच्चों की फीस कैसे जाएगी अभी पता नहीं है.
अरे भैया, कुंभ से रोजगार भी बढ़ रहा है. विवेक जी, चिड़ होती है आपको सिविलाइजेशनल रेनेसांस से. That is the exact issue, Navika ji. Whether it is in India or whether it is in United States of America, they have problem with national identity.
On an economy.
Vivek ji, you have problem with national identity and Bharatiya identity, and you have problem with Sanatan, and you have problem with taking pride in your culture and nation.
That's the whole point. World over, Sushant, there are so many foreigners who are making a beeline for India because this kind of an event happens once in 144 years. That's 1.5 centuries almost. And look at Vivek Srivastav. They pick up on anything that is a symbol of Indian pride.
Navika, I don't blame Vivek because a lot of people, including me up to a certain point in time of my life, we have been deracinated Indians. I've probably reformed myself some. Vivek, because he's a communist, he will not reform ever. So I can't speak for Vivek. But you see, the entire this entire leftist brainwashing, which was done along with the Congress Party, which allowed these leftists and communists to run havoc into our education system, havoc into our history. They distorted our history, contorted it, completely demolished it. They left us with no pride in our own selves, in our past achievement. And yes, we have failed plenty of times. We failed because we were divided, we got occupied, we were under colonialism for almost 1,000 years. All of that happened. But,
there is a very important, interrupting you for a second, but there's an important Indian American there, Vivek Ramaswamy. I caught up with him just a couple of months ago during the campaign in the United States. He's a man to watch out for, co-chairing that DOG, the Department of Government Efficiency, a man who endorsed President Donald Trump after he himself stripped out of the presidential race, and he's a man who Indians have great deal of interest in right there for the inauguration of President Donald Trump's new term. But you're right, Sushant.
Navika ji, one Vivek is sitting on the panel, the other Vivek is there who you spent
the extreme left, yes. The extreme left and the extreme right, Vivek Ramaswamy. But yes, Sushant, complete your point.
Sorry, I said Vivek Srivastava. Vivek Srivastava is incapable of reform. But what Ramaswamy is trying to do is something we need to do in India as well. That is why I keep going back to the Argentinian president. The way he's demolishing, these structures, these leftist structures which have been built up, which strangulate the economy. Every regulation which we have built in this country has strangulated the genius of our people to manufacture wealth, to create wealth in this country. So we need to learn from our counterparts in other countries, and we need to they can probably learn many things from us, because
Absolutely
there have been many reforms out here as well.
No.
But in the economic realm, if you go the left way, that is the path of bankruptcy. Whether it was the former Soviet Union which collapsed.
Absolutely, and we've seen this now happening across the world. It's extremely important to learn our lessons from the changes that have taken place. And liberalism, the real liberalism is most welcome, but it is this wokeism, this fake liberalism that is clearly being voted out. Well, I'll have to take your leave from all my panelists.